Good day, everyone. I am Lorabel Handog, a B.Ed third year student. So, before we discuss our topic today, I will show you first a picture, and I want you to analyze and observe on what is in the picture. Okay, so what do you see in the picture? Okay, it is related in technology and activities for learning, and it is connected to our topic today, which is the emerging trends in education. So it is under Unit 4, Trends, Global Perspectives, and Leadership in Curriculum Development. Okay, so this is our learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to identify the emerging trends in education, apply appropriate emerging trends to given classroom situations, and appreciate the role of emerging trends in making teaching and learning more engaging and meaningful. Okay, so let us define first what is emerging trends in education. So, emerging trends in education are new and developing approaches, technologies, practices, and ideas that are changing uh, how teaching and learning are conducted. So, so the emerging trends means it is new and developing changes, ideas, methods, technologies, and practice within the field of education. So these trends aim to make education more effective, inclusive, flexible, and learner-centered, engaging, and relevant. So these emerging trends help teachers create meaningful learning experience while preparing learners for the challenges of the modern world. So these are the major emerging trends. First is the AI, or what we call artificial intelligence. So the AI is a tool that can support teachers in creating learning materials, providing feedback, and personalizing instruction. So students can use AI assisted tools to support research, practice, and learning. So this artificial intelligence in education, so this refers to the use of AI powered tools to support both teachers and learners. So this artificial intelligence can help teachers create a learning materials, generate activities, and provide feedback, and also adjust learning resources according to the students' needs. Um, for example, a student is having difficulty understanding fractions, so an AI learning tool can provide another explanation and give practice up to the problem. So this serves as a support tool for teaching and learning, but it should be used responsibly and should not be replaced the teacher. Okay, so the next is the blended and hybrid learning. So this combines face-to-face instruction with online learning. It gives learners flexibility in accessing lessons and resources. So blended learning combines traditional, and also it combines face-to-face classrooms. So instruction with online learning is students learn partly through classroom interaction and partly digital platforms. This gives learners more flexibility because some learning materials and activities can be accessed online. So, for example, so the teacher explains a lesson in the classroom. Then students watch video and answer the online activity at home. So it is a combination of classroom learning and online learning. So the next is personalized learning. So instruction is adjusted according to learners' needs, abilities, interests, and learning phase. So personalized learning means adjusting teaching and learning activities according to individuals' needs, abilities, and interests and learning phase of students. So not all students learn in the same way. So do you agree with that? So or at the same speed. So a teacher may therefore provide different activities or levels of support. So example, so in a reading class, so students who are still developing reading, um, basic reading skills, so they receive simpler text, while advanced readers receive more challenging text. So this means that learning experience of a student is adjusted based on its learning phase. So the next is project-based learning. So students learn by working on meaningful projects that require to apply knowledge and skills. So project-based learning, it allows students to learn by working on meaningful projects or real world problems. So instead of simply listening to a lesson, students apply what they have learned to create something or to solve a problem. So this develops skills such as critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, and problem solving skills. So, for example, students learn about environmental protection by creating a school waste management project. So, in this trend or learning approach, students learn by doing a meaningful project. Another is competency-based education. It focuses on what learners can demonstrate or perform rather than simply completing a required amount of classroom time. So competency-based education focuses on what learners are actually able to demonstrate or perform. So the emphasis is not only completing lessons or memorizing information, but on developing specific competencies. So students are expected to show that they can apply their knowledge and skills correctly. So, for example, instead of answering questions about conducting an experiment, so students actually perform the experiment properly. So, in simple words, it focuses on what students can do with what they have learned. So the next is social emotional learning. So it develops skills such as self-awareness, communication, empathy, responsible, and then decision making and relationship building. Instead of answering questions about conducting an experiment, students are actually perform the experiment properly. So social emotional learning focuses on helping students developing skills for understanding themselves, interacting with others, and making responsible decisions. So it develops skills such as self-awareness, self-management, empathy, communication, relationship building, responsible decision making. So for example, students participate in the activity where they identify different emotions and discuss appropriate ways of responding to them. So, social emotional learning teaches students how to understand and manage themselves positively with others. So the next is inclusive education. So in inclusive education, it promotes learning opportunities for all learners, including those with disabilities and learners from diverse cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic backgrounds. So inclusive education means that all learners have opportunities to participate and learn regardless of their abilities, disabilities, cultural backgrounds, languages, or other differences. So teacher provide appropriate strategies, materials, and support so that different learners can participate meaningfully. So for example, a teacher provide accessible learner materials and different ways for students to demonstrate what they have learned. Okay, so everyone is included and given an opportunity to learn. So that is inclusive education. So another is gamification and a game-based learning. So it uses game elements such as challenges, points, rewards, and levels to make learning more engaging. So this approach uses games or game elements to make learning more interesting and engaging. So gamification add elements such as points, badges, levels, challenges, or rewards to regular learning activities. Game-based learning uses an actual game as part of learning process. So for example, during a mathematics lesson, so student earn points for correctly solving problems and move to a higher level after completing a challenge. So in gamification learning, becomes more engaging by incorporating elements of the games. So let's proceed to digital and multimedia learning. So it uses videos, interactive presentations, simulations, educational applications, and other digital resources. So digital and multimedia learning involves using digital technology and different types of media to support instruction. So this may include videos, animations, interactive presentations, simulations, educational applications, digital quizzes. So these resources can help students understand concepts that may be difficult to explain through text or lecture alone. So for example, instead of only explaining the water cycle using a textbook, the teacher shows an animation demonstrating evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So in simple words, it uses technology and different media to make learning clearer and more interactive. So okay. The last one is sustainability and environmental education. So it integrates environmental awareness, climate action, and sustainable practice into education. So sustainable and environmental education teaches learners about protecting the environment and using resources responsibly. So it connects classroom with learning classroom learning with environmental issues and sustainable practices. So students are encouraged to understand problems such as pollution, waste, climate change, and resource conversation. Example, students create a school gardening project or practice proper waste segregation. So sustainability and environmental education teaches students to understand environmental problems and become responsible in caring for the environment. So that are some of the major trends in education. So all these trends show that education is changing from traditional uh, teacher-centered approaches towards to more flexible, technology-supported, inclusive, practical, and learner-centered approaches. So the main goal is not simply for students to memorize information. Instead, learners are encouraged to apply knowledge, develop skills, solve problems, collaborate with others, and use technology responsibly and connect learning to the real life situations.